Chapter 1. The Invisible Man. Tom had never considered himself unlucky in love, just realistic. At 28, he wasn't bitter, wasn't angry, and certainly didn't feel entitled to anything. He was average, and he knew it. Average height, average looks, average job. He wasn't hiding from life. He simply accepted that the dating game wasn't built for men like him. And that was fine. Life wasn't fair, and Tom had made peace with that truth years ago. His apartment reflected his personality. Neat, functional, and quiet. A single bookshelf lined with novels and a few philosophy texts stood against the wall. A coffee table bore the faint rings of mugs from long nights of reading. No flashy decor, no desperate attempts to impress anyone. Just Tom's space, comfortable and honest. He stirred his coffee slowly, watching the swirl of cream dissolve into the dark liquid. Saturday mornings were his sanctuary. No alarms, no meetings, no forced small talk. Just him, his thoughts, and the hum of the city outside his window. For years ago, things had been different. He'd been in love, or at least he thought he was. Her name was Claire, and for a while she was everything. Smart, funny, beautiful in a way that felt effortless. They had plans, inside jokes, and a rhythm that made Tom believe he'd finally beaten the odds. Until the fountain. The memory still made him wince, though now it carried more humor than pain. One misunderstanding, one glass of wine, and one very public fall into a decorative fountain had ended it all. He could still hear the gasps, the laughter, the way his soaked shirt clung to his skin as he scrambled out, humiliated. And the worst part? He hadn't even done what she accused him of. Her best friend had lied, said she saw Tom with another woman. Claire hadn't asked, hadn't given him a chance to explain. She assumed, exploded, and by the time the truth came out, the damage was done. Claire had tried to apologize, tried to fix it, but Tom couldn't. Not because he hated her, but because of what he told her that last day. I could forgive what you did, maybe, but I can never forget how you made me feel. He'd closed the door gently, ending that chapter of his life with quiet finality. Since then, dating had been educational. A few dinners with women who saw him as a free meal. A handful of encounters with women already in relationships, looking for attention on the side. Enough experiences to make him step back and observe the chaos from a safe distance. He wasn't closed off to love, but he wasn't playing someone else's game either. Patience, he decided, was better than desperation. Tom's phone buzzed on the counter. A text from his younger brother. Jake. Bro, check out this new video. How to approach women without looking like a creep. Game changer. Tom chuckled, shaking his head. Jake was 24, full of optimism and YouTube advice. He believed love was a lottery ticket, you just had to scratch the right one. Tom had tried nudging him toward reality, but Jake was convinced the next tip, the next hack, would unlock everything. Good luck, kid, Tom muttered, setting the phone aside. Monday came too soon, as Mondays always do. Tom slipped into the office, nodding politely to the receptionist before making his way to the break room. He liked this time of day, the quiet hum before the storm of emails and meetings. He poured himself a cup of coffee and leaned against the counter, scrolling through headlines on his phone. Behind him, voices rose in animated frustration. I swear, every guy on these apps is trash, one woman groaned. Seriously, her friend chimed in. Either they're creepy or they disappear after 2 dates. Not all guys, one of the men at the table protested weakly. Some of us are decent. Then why are all my matches disasters? She shot back. Tom didn't mean to laugh. It just slipped out. A short, sharp chuckle that cut through the air like a pin through a balloon. For heads turned toward him. What's so funny, Tom? The first woman demanded, eyebrows arched. Tom set his phone down slowly, meeting their curious stares. You're not talking about all men, he said calmly. You're talking about the top 10%, the guys everyone's chasing and sharing. And you can't figure out why they keep cheating or ghosting you. The second woman frowned. Excuse me? Tom shrugged, his tone light but firm. Why would a guy with endless options settle down? He doesn't have to. He's got women competing for his attention every day. You're chasing looks, not character. And this is the reward. The first woman crossed her arms. So what, we're supposed to settle? Tom smiled faintly. What you call settling is water rising to its own level. You're not settling, that's your level. You can't blame men for your choices. You pick the men. One of the guys at the table leaned forward, intrigued. So what's your point? My point, Tom said, sipping his coffee, is that you've probably walked past 100 good men each. The quiet ones. The friend-zoned guys. Average men with good jobs and better principles. Men who'd make wonderful fathers. But they're invisible to most women. The second woman scoffed. Invisible? Please. Most men are average, Tom continued. That's why it's called average. And guess what? Women fall under the same rule. Even if every woman thinks she's a 10, she's not. She's average, and that's not bad. But if you're chasing guys out of your league, don't be surprised when you get dumped or cheated on. Silence stretched for a beat. Then the first woman narrowed her eyes. So you're saying if a guy treats me like crap, I was never relationship material to him? Tom nodded. Exactly. Men put women in two categories, fun only and relationship worthy. If your relationship sounds like what I just described, you were in the fun only category. He was never serious about you. The second woman bristled. That's harsh. It's reality, Tom said simply. You don't have to like it, but it's true. The first woman opened her mouth to argue, but Tom was already walking away, coffee in hand. He wasn't trying to convince anyone. He'd made an observation, and whether they liked it or not wasn't his problem. He thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Over the next 3 weeks, they cornered him in the break room, in the hallway, even by the elevator. Questions, challenges, debates. Everyone suddenly wanted Tom's take on modern dating. At first, he humored them. Then he started avoiding the break room altogether. Until today. Tom, the first woman, her name was Rachel, he'd learned, blocked his path with a grin that promised trouble. Beside her stood Mia, the second woman, and 2 guys from accounting. We've been talking, and we think you're wrong. Tom sighed. About what? About dating being harder for women, Mia said. You make it sound like guys have it worse. Tom tilted his head. They do. Prove it, Rachel challenged, eyes sparkling. Tom stared at her for a moment, then laughed. A low, amused sound that made them all lean in. Fine, he said. I'll prove it. Let's make a bet. What kind of bet? One of the guys asked warily. Tom set his coffee down, his grin widening. An experiment. 2 teams. 1 man, 1 woman. Each team creates a dating profile for an average person. Realistic, no yachts, no thirst traps. Team 1 handles the guy. Team 2 handles the girl. You pick the photos for each other. 1 month. The goal? Get as many conversations as possible that lead to a scheduled date. Rachel's eyebrows shot up. And if we ghost someone? Tom shrugged. For science, I'll take that hit. His grin turned mischievous. Deal. They exchanged glances, then nodded, excitement buzzing in the air. Deal, Rachel said. You're on. Tom picked up his coffee, already amused by the chaos he'd just unleashed. This is going to be fun, he murmured, heading back to his desk. Chapter 2. The break room debate. The break room was louder than usual that Monday. The hum of the vending machine and the faint clink of coffee mugs were drowned out by voices volleying across the small round table near the window. Tom had walked in for his usual mid-morning refill, hoping for peace. Instead, he found a storm brewing. Rachel sat at the center like a queen at court, her auburn hair catching the fluorescent light as she gestured dramatically with a plastic fork. Beside her, Mia leaned back in her chair, scrolling through her phone with a smirk that said she was enjoying the show. Across from them were 2 guys from accounting, Ben, tall and lanky with a perpetual look of mild confusion, and Eric, stockier, with the kind of easy grin that made him seem harmless. Tom had barely crossed the threshold when Rachel spotted him. Tom! Her voice rang out like a summons. Perfect timing. Tom froze, coffee mug in hand. That sounds ominous. We were just talking about dating, Mia said, eyes flicking up from her phone. And how you think guys have it worse. Tom sighed inwardly. So this was round 2. He'd hoped his little truth bomb last week had satisfied their curiosity. Apparently not. I don't think, Tom said evenly, moving toward the coffee pot. I know. Ben perked up. See? I told you he'd double down. Rachel leaned forward, her eyes bright with challenge. Explain then, because from where we're sitting, women have it harder. Creeps, ghosting, guys who only want one thing. And somehow, Tom cut in, pouring his coffee. You still have hundreds of matches to complain about. Rachel blinked. Excuse me? Tom turned, mug in hand, and leaned against the counter. His tone was calm, almost conversational, but his words carried weight. You're not struggling to get attention. You're struggling to manage it. There's a difference. Mia snorted. Oh please, you think it's easy for us? Try dealing with the parade of weirdos. Weirdos you swiped right on, Tom said, one brow lifting. You pick the men. Men don't magically appear in your inbox without your permission. Rachel opened her mouth, then closed it, her fork hovering midair. That's not the point. It's exactly the point, Tom replied. You have choice, options. Even if 90% of them are bad, you still have 100 times more chances than the average guy. Eric leaned back, arms crossed. He's not wrong. Rachel shot him a glare. Whose side are you on? Realities, Eric said with a shrug. Tom took a slow sip of coffee, letting the silence stretch before he spoke again. Look, I'm not saying women don't deal with nonsense. You do. But if you want to talk about difficulty, try being invisible. Most men fail before they even get a chance. No matches. No conversations. Nothing. Ben nodded vigorously. Preach. Mia tilted her head, curiosity flickering behind her skepticism. Invisible? Come on. That's dramatic. Is it? Tom asked. You've probably walked past 100 good men this month without noticing. Guys with decent jobs, solid principles who'd make great partners. But they're not 6'2" with a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. So they don't exist to you. Rachel bristled. That's not fair. It's math, Tom said simply. Most men are average. Most women are average. But everyone's chasing the top 10% like it's a clearance sale. And then they act shocked when those guys don't settle down. Mia set her phone down, her smirk fading into something more thoughtful. So what, you think women should just lower their standards? Tom shook his head. No. I think they should understand what their standards cost. You're not settling when you date someone on your level. That's water rising to its own level. But if you're aiming for a guy with endless options, don't cry when you find out you were never the only one. Rachel stared at him, fork forgotten. You make it sound so clinical. It's reality, Tom said, his voice softening. You don't have to like it, but ignoring it doesn't make it less true. For a moment, the room was quiet except for the hum of the vending machine. Then Ben chuckled. Man, you should start a podcast. Tom smiled faintly. Hard pass. He pushed off the counter, ready to escape before the debate spiraled further. Enjoy your lunch, folks. Wait, Rachel called after him. If you're so sure, prove it. Tom paused mid-step, glancing back. Prove what? That guys have it worse, Mia said, her tone sharp with challenge. You talk a big game. Show us. Tom studied their faces, the defiance in Rachel's eyes, the curiosity in Mia's, the amused anticipation in Ben and Eric. Then, slowly, a grin spread across his face. Fine, he said. I'll prove it. Let's make a bet. Ben perked up. Oh, this just got interesting. An experiment, Tom continued, setting his mug down on the nearest table. 2 teams. 1 man, 1 woman. Each team creates a dating profile for an average person. Realistic, no yachts, no thirst traps. Team 1 handles the guy. Team 2 handles the girl. You pick the photos for each other. 1 month. The goal? Get as many conversations as possible that lead to a scheduled date. Rachel's eyebrows shot up. And if we ghost someone? Tom shrugged. For science, I'll take that hit. His grin turned mischievous. Deal. They exchanged glances, excitement buzzing in the air. Deal, Rachel said finally, her voice steady with confidence. You're on. Tom picked up his coffee, already amused by the chaos he'd just unleashed. This is going to be fun, he murmured, heading back to his desk. Later that day, the office buzzed with whispers. By the time Tom returned from his afternoon meeting, the experiment had become the hottest topic in the building. People were already speculating about strategy, debating which dating app to use, and arguing over what counted as average. Tom kept his head down, amused but detached. He wasn't doing this to win. He was doing it to prove a point and maybe, just maybe, to teach a lesson no YouTube video ever could. Chapter 3. The challenge becomes real. By Tuesday morning, the office had transformed into a low-key reality show. Whispers floated through cubicles like smoke signals. Did you hear about the bet? Which team are you rooting for? I swear. Rachel's already plotting strategy. Tom walked in with his usual calm, coffee in hand, and headed straight for his desk. He wasn't surprised by the buzz. People love drama, especially drama that didn't involve quarterly reports or budget meetings. And this was pure entertainment. He'd barely logged into his computer when a shadow fell across his desk. Tom. Rachel stood there, arms crossed, expression sharp enough to slice through steel. Behind her, Mia leaned casually against the partition, her smile all mischief. Ben and Eric hovered a few steps back, looking like kids about to start a science fair project they didn't understand. We're ready, Rachel announced. Tom raised an eyebrow. Ready for what? The experiment, Mia said, her tone dripping with challenge. You said 2 teams. Let's set them up. Tom gestured toward the empty chairs near his desk. Fine. Sit. They gathered like conspirators, the energy crackling between them. Tom leaned back, folding his arms, and let the silence stretch just long enough to make them squirm. Ground rules first, he said finally. 1 month. 2 profiles, 1 male, 1 female. Each team creates the bio for their assigned gender. No exaggerations, no fake yachts, no thirst traps. Realistic, average people. Got it. Rachel nodded briskly. Got it. Photos, Tom continued. You pick for each other. No sabotage, keep it fair. Ben frowned. Define fair. No blurry bathroom selfies, Tom said dryly. No glamour shots from 10 years ago. Just normal. Mia smirked. Normal's subjective. Normal's obvious, Tom countered. If you have to ask, it's not normal. Rachel tapped her nails against the desk. Which apps? Your choice, Tom said. But stick to mainstream. No niche sites for dog lovers or medieval reenactors. Ben chuckled. There goes my plan. Updates every Monday at lunch, Tom finished. We track conversations and scheduled dates. Whoever gets the most wins. Rachel's eyes gleamed. And what do we win? Tom shrugged. Bragging rights, and maybe the satisfaction of proving me wrong, if you can. Mia leaned forward, her grin wicked. Oh, we will. Tom smiled faintly. We'll see. Team formation, they split quickly. Rachel and Eric on Team 2, the female profile. Mia and Ben on Team 1, the male profile. Tom watched the alliances form with quiet amusement. Rachel and Eric were already brainstorming like seasoned marketers, while Mia and Ben looked like they'd just been handed a group project in a class they'd skipped all semester. Okay, Rachel said, pulling out her phone. First order of business, photos. We pick for each other, Tom reminded them. Fine, Mia said, flipping her hair. Let's start with the guy. She eyed Ben critically. You have any decent pictures? Ben blinked. Why me? Because you're on the team, Mia said sweetly. And you look average. Ben looked offended. Gee, thanks. It's a compliment, Mia said, not sounding remotely convincing. We need authenticity. Eric snorted. Translation. You're the guinea pig. Ben sighed, scrolling through his phone. Okay, here's one from my cousin's wedding. Suit, tie, no weird faces. Mia snatched the phone, studying the photo. Not bad. You clean up well. Told you, Ben muttered. Rachel leaned over. Crop out the background. No one needs to see Aunt Linda doing the Macarena. Done, Mia said, already editing. Now the girl, Eric said, turning to Rachel. You volunteering? Rachel smirked. Why not? I'm average enough for your experiment. Tom raised an eyebrow. That's surprisingly self-aware. Don't push it, Rachel shot back, but her tone was playful. She scrolled through her gallery and handed Eric a photo. Simple, natural, no filters. Jeans, a casual top, hair down. Eric nodded approvingly. Perfect, he said. No yacht, no bikini, no bathroom mirror. Just normal. Exactly, Tom said. Now bios. The bio battle, if photos were easy, bios were war. We need something catchy, Mia declared, typing furiously. Funny but not desperate. Funny's risky, Ben said. What if they don't get the joke? Then they're not worth dating, Mia shot back. Or they just have a different sense of humor, Ben countered. Tom hid a smile behind his coffee. This was better than cable. Across the table, Rachel and Eric were deep in their own debate. No cliches, Rachel said firmly. No, I love long walks on the beach. What about hobbies? Eric asked. People like hobbies. Fine, Rachel said, typing. Enjoys cooking, hiking, and binge-watching bad reality TV. Honest and relatable. Add something about personality, Eric suggested. Like, optimistic. Rachel snorted. Optimistic? In this dating market. Eric grinned. Fair point. Tom glanced at Mia's screen. What's your masterpiece? Mia turned it toward him proudly. Just a regular guy who enjoys good coffee, bad jokes, and Sunday naps. Looking for someone who can beat me at trivia. Tom nodded slowly. Not bad. Ben looked smug. Told you humor works. We'll see, Tom said, his tone neutral. The rule cemented. By the time lunch ended, the profiles were ready, photos selected, bios polished, apps chosen. Team 1 went with Bumble. Team 2 picked Hinge. Both teams were buzzing with confidence, already predicting victory. Tom stood, gathering his mug. Remember, updates every Monday. And play fair. Rachel smirked. Fair's boring. Fair's the point, Tom said, heading for the door. Good luck, teams. You're going to need it. Later that night, Tom sat on his couch, scrolling through his phone, amused by the flurry of notifications in the office group chat. Screenshots of profiles, jokes about strategy, even a meme comparing the experiment to the Hunger Games. He shook his head, smiling faintly. This wasn't just about winning a bet. It was about perspective. About showing them what he'd learned the hard way. That dating wasn't broken, expectations were. And maybe, just maybe, they'd figure that out before the month was over. Chapter 4. Launch Day Chaos. Monday morning arrived like a drumroll. The office buzzed with anticipation, the kind usually reserved for holiday parties or surprise bonuses. But this wasn't about money. It was about pride, ego, and the unspoken thrill of proving someone wrong. Tom walked in with his usual calm, coffee steaming in his hand, and immediately felt the shift in energy. Heads turned. Conversations hushed. Then, like a dam breaking, the chatter surged. Tom, it's live. Rachel's voice rang out from across the room. She was practically glowing, her phone clutched like a trophy. Mia was beside her, grinning like a cat who just cornered a mouse. Ben and Eric hovered nearby, their expressions a mix of excitement and mild panic. Tom raised an eyebrow. Already? Profiles went up last night, Mia said, her tone smug. And guess what? We've got action. Define action, Tom said, setting his mug down on the nearest desk. Rachel thrust her phone toward him. 3 likes, 2 messages, and it's only been 12 hours. Tom glanced at the screen. The female profile, Rachel's photo, their carefully crafted bio, looked harmless enough. Casual, approachable, honest, and apparently magnetic. Not bad, Tom said mildly. What about Team 1? Ben groaned. Crickets. Mia shot him a glare. Not true. We got 1 like. From a bot, Ben muttered. Tom hid a smile behind his coffee. Interesting. Interesting. Rachel scoffed. It's humiliating. For them. It's predictable, Tom corrected. Women have the advantage. Always have. Mia crossed her arms. Advantage doesn't mean easy. No, Tom agreed. But it means visible. Ben slumped in his chair. Visible would be nice. Eric chuckled. Welcome to our world, buddy. The first lunch recap. By noon, the break room was packed. People who had nothing to do with the bet showed up just to watch the fireworks. Tom sat at the end of the table, calm as ever, while the teams presented their first week numbers like contestants on a game show. Team 2, Rachel announced, her voice dripping with triumph. 3 likes, 2 messages, and one guy already asking for a date. Cheers erupted from their side of the table. Mia rolled her eyes but said nothing. Team 1, Tom asked, his tone neutral. Ben cleared his throat. 1 like, 0 messages. From a bot, Mia added reluctantly. Laughter rippled through the room. Tom didn't join in. He simply nodded, his expression unreadable. It's only week 1, Mia said quickly, her competitive streak flaring. We'll catch up. Tom sipped his coffee. Sure you will. Rachel smirked. Face it, Tom. Women don't have it easy. We just know how to play the game. Tom set his mug down, his gaze steady. You're not playing the game. The game's playing you. But give it time, you'll see. Behind the scenes that afternoon, Team 1 regrouped in a quiet corner, their frustration palpable. We need better pictures, Mia declared, scrolling through Ben's gallery like a drill sergeant inspecting troops. These are fine, but fine doesn't cut it. We're supposed to be average, Ben reminded her. Not Instagram models. Average doesn't mean boring, Mia shot back. We need personality. Personality doesn't matter if no one swipes, Ben muttered. Mia ignored him, already plotting. What about hobbies? We should add something interesting, like rock climbing. I've never rock climbed in my life, Ben said flatly. So? It's aspirational, Mia argued. It's lying, Ben countered. Tom, passing by on his way to the printer, paused just long enough to drop a quiet truth bomb. If you have to lie to get attention, you're not proving anything. You're just proving me right. Mia glared at him. Thanks for the pep talk. Tom smiled faintly and kept walking. Meanwhile, Team 2, Rachel and Eric were riding high on their early success. Their group chat was a flurry of screenshots and strategy tips. He's cute, Rachel typed, attaching a photo of a guy with a golden retriever. Dog guy, always a win. Ask about the dog, Eric replied. People love talking about their pets. Already did, Rachel shot back. He says the dog's name is Max Adorable. This feels too easy, Eric admitted. It's not easy, Rachel corrected. It's effort. We're putting in the work. Work, Eric teased. You've had 5 conversations in 2 days. Quality over quantity, Rachel said primly. Eric sent a laughing emoji. Sure, boss. By the end of the day, Tom had heard enough snippets to confirm what he already knew. The imbalance wasn't just real, it was glaring. Team 2 was drowning in attention, while Team 1 was gasping for air. And the irony? Both profiles were honest, average, and perfectly decent. Tom sat at his desk, watching the office buzz with excitement, and felt a quiet satisfaction. Not because he wanted anyone to fail, but because reality was finally speaking louder than theory. Dating wasn't broken. Expectations were. As the week wore on, the gap widened. Team 2's inbox overflowed with messages, compliments, and date requests. Team 1, 2 likes, 1 real message, 0 dates. Frustration simmered. Arguments sparked. And somewhere in the middle of it all, something unexpected began to happen. A subtle shift, a quiet connection forming where no one was looking. But that was a story for another chapter. Chapter 5, Cracks in Chemistry. By the second Monday, the break room felt like a courtroom. The teams filed in with their phones clutched like evidence, faces tight with anticipation. Tom sat at the end of the table, calm as ever, sipping his coffee like a judge waiting for opening statements. Week 2, Rachel announced, her voice carrying the smugness of someone who already knew the verdict. Team 2, 12 new likes, 8 conversations, 3 date requests. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the room. Rachel basked in the attention like a cat in a sunbeam. Team 1, Tom asked, his tone neutral. Ben cleared his throat, his expression grim. 2 likes, 1 real conversation, 0 dates. The silence that followed was brutal. Then Mia slammed her phone down on the table. This is ridiculous, she snapped. We're doing everything right. Good photos, solid bio, polite messages, and nothing. Welcome to being a guy, Eric said, grinning. Shut up, Mia shot back, but her cheeks flushed with frustration. Tom set his mug down gently. What did I tell you? That men have it worse, Mia muttered. No, Tom corrected. That visibility changes everything. Women don't struggle to be seen. Men do. Rachel smirked. Maybe your average guy just isn't interesting. Tom's gaze flicked to her, calm but sharp. Or maybe interesting doesn't matter when you're competing with 100 other profiles for the same attention. Rachel opened her mouth to argue, but Tom raised a hand, cutting her off. Keep going. You've got 2 weeks left. Let's see what happens. Team 1 in crisis. That afternoon, Mia and Ben huddled in a corner of the office like soldiers planning a last stand. Their phones lay between them, screens glowing with the harsh truth: failure. "We need a new strategy," Mia said, her voice low but fierce. "Something bold." "Like what?" Ben asked, sounding defeated. "We can't change the rules. We can change the vibe," Mia countered. "Make him stand out." "He's supposed to be average," Ben reminded her. "That's the whole point." "Average doesn't mean invisible," Mia shot back. "We need personality, humor, something that makes people stop scrolling." Ben rubbed his temples. "I'm not funny." "Then let me handle it," Mia said, already typing. "We'll add a line about sarcasm. People love sarcasm." "Sarcasm's not a personality," Ben muttered. "Neither is giving up," Mia snapped. Ben stared at her, then laughed, a short, surprised sound. "You're intense. You're slow," Mia retorted, but her lips curved into a reluctant smile. For a moment, the tension eased. They leaned closer, heads bent over the screen, their shoulders brushing. Neither seemed to notice. Team Two's victory lap. Meanwhile, Rachel and Eric were riding high. Their group chat was a parade of screenshots and smug emojis. "Date confirmed for Friday," Rachel typed, attaching a photo of a guy with a jawline that could cut glass. "Tall, funny, loves dogs. Jackpot." "You're killing it," Eric replied. "We should start charging for coaching." "Please," Rachel shot back. "This is skill. This is math," Eric teased. "You're the supply. They're the demand." Rachel ignored him, too busy basking in her success. She didn't notice Tom passing by, his expression unreadable. Tom's quiet observation from his desk. Tom watched the experiment unfold like a slow-motion train wreck. Team 2 was drowning in attention, juggling conversations like circus performers. Team 1 was clawing for scraps, their frustration mounting with every unanswered message. And yet, something was shifting. Tom had seen it in the break room, in the way Mia leaned toward Ben, her voice sharp but her eyes softening, in the way Ben laughed even when he was losing. Shared struggle had a way of forging bonds, and this was no exception. Tom smiled faintly, sipping his coffee. The bet was proving his point, but it was also proving something else. That connection didn't always come from winning. Sometimes it came from losing together. The second lunch recap. By Friday, the tension was palpable. The teams gathered for an unofficial midweek check-in, their faces telling the story before the numbers did. "Team 2, Tom asked, his tone mild. Rachel grinned. 2 dates scheduled. For more conversations going strong. "Team 1, Ben hesitated. 1 conversation. Still no date." Mia slammed her phone down again. "This is insane." "It's reality," Tom said softly. "Reality sucks," Mia muttered. Tom's lips twitched. "Only if you expect it to be something else." Mia glared at him, but there was no real heat in it, just frustration and maybe, beneath it, curiosity. Foreshadowing chemistry. That afternoon, Mia and Ben stayed late, hunched over their phones like detectives chasing a lead. They brainstormed new openers, debated emojis, even staged a photo in the break room with Ben holding a coffee mug like it was a prop in a rom-com. "Smile," Mia ordered, snapping the picture. "This is ridiculous," Ben said, but he smiled anyway. "Perfect," Mia said, grinning as she uploaded it. "Now watch the magic happen." Ben shook his head, laughing. "You're relentless." "You're welcome," Mia shot back. Their eyes met for a beat too long. Neither looked away. Tom notices as he left for the day. Tom passed their corner and caught the moment. The laughter, the leaning in, the spark neither of them seemed to recognize yet. He didn't say a word. He just smiled to himself and walked out. The quiet satisfaction of a man who understood something they didn't yet. That the real experiment wasn't happening on their phones. It was happening right there, between them. Chapter 6. When numbers don't lie. By the third Monday, the break room had the energy of a reality show finale. Phones were out, screens glowing, voices buzzing with anticipation. The experiment wasn't just office gossip anymore. It was office obsession. Tom walked in last, coffee in hand, and immediately felt the weight of expectation. All eyes flicked to him like he was the referee about to call the winning play. "All right," he said, settling into his usual seat. "Week 3. Let's hear it." Rachel didn't waste a second. She leaned forward, her smile sharp as a blade. "Team 2, 20 new likes, 15 conversations, 5 date requests. 1 date completed, 2 scheduled for this week." The room erupted in cheers and teasing applause. Rachel basked in it like a queen on Coronation Day. "Team 1, Tom asked, turning his gaze to Mia and Ben. Ben hesitated, his thumb hovering over his phone like it might change the numbers if he stared hard enough. "For likes, 2 conversations. Still no dates." The silence that followed was brutal. Then Mia exhaled sharply, her frustration spilling out like steam from a kettle. "This is ridiculous," she said, voice tight. "We've done everything. Better photos, clever bios, funny openers, and nothing." "Welcome to being a guy," Eric quipped from across the table, grinning like a man who just won a bet he didn't place. "Not helping," Mia snapped, her cheeks flushed. Tom set his mug down gently, his tone calm but cutting. What did I tell you? That men have it worse, Mia muttered. No, Tom corrected. That visibility changes everything. Women don't struggle to be seen. Men do. Rachel smirked, her voice dripping with triumph. Maybe your average guy just isn't interesting. Tom's gaze flicked to her, sharp and steady. Or maybe interesting doesn't matter when you're competing with 100 other profiles for the same attention. Rachel opened her mouth to argue, but Tom raised a hand, ending the debate before it began. 1 week left. Let's see if effort changes the math. The cracks widen. That afternoon, Team 1 retreated to a quiet corner, their frustration palpable. Mia paced like a general planning a last stand, while Ben sat slumped in his chair, scrolling through their barren inbox. We need a new angle, Mia said, her voice low but fierce. Something bold. Like what? Ben asked, sounding defeated. We can't change the rules. We can change the vibe, Mia countered. Make him stand out. He's supposed to be average, Ben reminded her. That's the whole point. Average doesn't mean invisible, Mia shot back. We need personality, humor, something that makes people stop scrolling. Ben rubbed his temples. I'm not funny. Then let me handle it, Mia said, already typing. We'll add a line about sarcasm. People love sarcasm. Sarcasm's not a personality, Ben muttered. Neither is giving up, Mia snapped. Ben stared at her, then laughed. A short, surprised sound. You're intense. You're slow, Mia retorted. But her lips curved into a reluctant smile. For a moment, the tension eased. They leaned closer, heads bent over the screen, their shoulders brushing. Neither seemed to notice, or maybe neither wanted to. Tom's quiet observation. From his desk, Tom caught the moment. The laughter, the leaning in, the spark neither of them seemed ready to name. He didn't say a word. He just smiled faintly and turned back to his monitor. The quiet satisfaction of a man who understood something they didn't yet. The real experiment wasn't happening on their phones. It was happening right there, between them. Team 2's victory lap? Meanwhile, Rachel and Eric were basking in their success. Their group chat was a parade of screenshots and smug emojis. Date number 2 confirmed, Rachel typed, attaching a photo of a guy with a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. Tall, funny, loves dogs. Jackpot. You're killing it, Eric replied. We should start charging for coaching. Please, Rachel shot back. This is skill. This is math, Eric teased. You're the supply. They're the demand. Rachel ignored him, too busy basking in her triumph. She didn't notice Tom passing by, his expression unreadable. Late-night strategy. By Thursday, Mia and Ben were staying late, hunched over their phones like detectives chasing a lead. They brainstormed new openers, debated emojis, even staged a photo in the break room with Ben holding a coffee mug like it was a prop in a rom-com. Smile, Mia ordered, snapping the picture. This is ridiculous, Ben said, but he smiled anyway. Perfect, Mia said, grinning as she uploaded it. Now watch the magic happen. Ben shook his head, laughing. You're relentless. You're welcome, Mia shot back. Their eyes met for a beat too long. Neither looked away. Tom's reflection. As he left for the day, Tom paused at the doorway, watching them laugh over something on the screen. He felt a flicker of amusement and maybe hope, not for the experiment but for what it had accidentally created. Connection. The kind that didn't need algorithms or perfect bios. The kind that happened when two people stopped trying to win and started trying to understand. Tom smiled to himself and walked out, the quiet hum of the office fading behind him. Chapter 7. The last numbers and the dinner. The final Monday arrived with the weight of expectation. The break room was packed. People who had nothing to do with the bet squeezed in just to witness the verdict. Phones were out, screens glowing like scoreboards. The air buzzed with anticipation. Tom walked in last. As usual, coffee in hand. Calm as a man strolling into a storm he predicted weeks ago. He slid into his seat at the end of the table, the quiet referee among the chaos. All right, he said, voice steady. Final week. Let's hear it. Rachel was practically vibrating with triumph. Team 2, 30 new likes, 20 conversations, 7 date requests. 2 dates completed, 1 scheduled for next weekend. She flashed her phone like a trophy. We crushed it. The room erupted in cheers and teasing applause. Rachel basked in it like sunlight. Team 1, Tom asked, turning his gaze to Mia and Ben. Ben cleared his throat, his thumb hovering over his phone like it might change the numbers if he stared hard enough. 6 likes, 3 conversations, 1 tentative date. The silence that followed was brutal. Then Mia exhaled sharply, her frustration spilling out like steam from a kettle. Tentative, Rachel echoed, her tone dripping with pity. She said maybe, Ben muttered. Which means no, Eric quipped, grinning like a man who just won a bet he didn't place. Not helping, Mia snapped, her cheeks flushed. Tom set his mug down gently, his tone calm but cutting. So, one team drowning in attention. One team clawing for scraps. What does that tell you? Rachel smirked. That women are better at this game. Tom shook his head slowly. No. That the game was never fair to begin with. The room fell quiet. Tom let the silence stretch before he spoke again. You all thought effort would change the math. Didn't. Because the math isn't about effort, it's about visibility. Women don't struggle to be seen. Men do. And that changes everything. Rachel opened her mouth to argue, but Tom raised a hand, ending the debate before it began. Dinner tonight. We'll wrap this up properly. The dinner. They met at a cozy Italian place downtown, the kind with warm lighting and soft music that made even awkward conversations feel romantic. The experiment had drawn a crowd: Rachel, Mia, Ben, Eric, and a handful of curious coworkers who'd followed the saga like a binge-worthy series. Tom arrived last, as usual, and slid into his seat at the end of the table. He didn't need to speak. The energy said it all. Rachel was glowing with victory. Mia looked like she wanted to throw her phone into the nearest river. And Ben looked oddly calm. So, Tom said, unfolding his napkin. What did we learn? Rachel grinned. That dating isn't broken. Men just need to try harder. Tom raised an eyebrow. Interesting conclusion, considering Team 1 tried harder than anyone and still lost. Rachel's smile faltered. Okay, fine. It's harder for men. But women still deal with creeps and ghosting. True, Tom said evenly. But you deal with it after you've had 100 chances. Men fail before they even get a chance. Mia stabbed her fork into her pasta like it had personally offended her. So what's the solution? Lower standards. Tom shook his head. No. Understand what your standards cost. You're not settling when you date someone on your level. That's water rising to its own level. But if you're aiming for a guy with endless options, don't cry when you find out you were never the only one. The table fell quiet. Even Rachel didn't argue this time. The reveal, halfway through dessert, Eric leaned back with a grin. So who's paying? Losers pick up the tab. Fine, Mia said, rolling her eyes. We'll pay. Whatever. Ben chuckled softly. Worth it for the experience. Rachel smirked. Experience? You mean humiliation. Perspective, Ben corrected, his tone calm. And maybe something else. Mia shot him a look. What's that supposed to mean? Ben hesitated, then smiled. A slow, genuine smile that made Mia's breath catch for reasons she didn't want to examine right now. I mean, Ben said quietly, I didn't get a date from the app, but I did spend 3 weeks with someone who made me laugh every day. The table went still. Mia blinked, her cheeks flushing pink. Ben, what? He said, his grin widening. You're intense, bossy, and kind of terrifying. But you're also smart and funny, and I like that. Rachel's jaw dropped. Eric choked on his wine. Tom just smiled faintly, like a man who'd seen this coming from a mile away. Mia opened her mouth, closed it, then laughed. A short, surprised sound that broke the tension like glass shattering. You're ridiculous, she said, but her voice was soft now. Warm. You like ridiculous? Ben shot back. And just like that, the experiment had its twist ending. Tom's closing thoughts, as the laughter rolled around the table. Tom leaned back, his gaze drifting to the window where city lights blurred against the glass. He felt a quiet satisfaction, not because he'd won the bet, but because something real had come out of all the noise. Connection. The kind that didn't need algorithms or perfect bios. The kind that happened when two people stopped trying to win and started trying to understand. Tom smiled to himself, his words echoing in his mind. The ones he'd said 4 years ago when he closed the door on Claire. I could forgive what you did, maybe, but I can never forget how you made me feel. Tonight, watching Mia and Ben laugh like they just discovered a secret, Tom felt something else. Hope. Not for the game, but for the truth beneath it. Love wasn't magic. It wasn't math. It was honesty and patience. And Tom had plenty of both.